All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's that time inside the IFL is now here, and yeah, Ed's not with me today. He has some personal things going on, so I'm being joined by Mr. Allen. Holy hell, something's really loud. I have no idea. Yeah, being joined by Allen and Mr. Chris Davis. So I know Davis stepped away for a minute. He had ordered some food. Alan, I know you're there.
Yeah, I'm here. I already ate my lunch.
I don't think I'm going to be eating anything anytime soon. Dealing with this toothache, the last thing I'm going to do is eat.
We all wish you get well soon as I put your favorite card in everyday chat.
Yeah, I saw it. Appreciate it.
No problem, man. I'm surprised they actually had it.
Oh, what did I? One of the greatest football teams. Yeah, it's Raider Nation. What's up?
Yeah. LV Raider Nation. Well, in 2020.
Well, it's Memorial Day. We'll just send a shout out to all those involved in the military real quick. So,
thank you for y'all's service and everything, and the ones that lost their lives.
Mm-hmm.
Lost their lives this year. I want to send up a prayer.
Pretty much. Yeah. And I gotta try and get these people active over there on this other site I'm dealing with. It's freaking hilarious. Anyway, week 2 was in the books. And that being said, just had to respond to the wife. Okay, now, as I was going to say, week 2's in the books. While we wait for Chris, I'm going to ask you, Alan. From the week 2, what was the biggest thing that stood out to you for the week?
The biggest thing, well, it would have to be a tie. Number 1 would be actually, yeah, it would be a major tie. I've noticed, well, actually, there's a 3-way tie, actually. The 3 things that stood out to me was the interceptions by Baltimore. I mean, they gave up over 500 yards last week, but had 6 interceptions. Kudos to Max Paul. He did an excellent job with 6 interceptions. King Cannon, I have no clue if he's colorblind or what, but he keeps on throwing to the other team, and I don't know. He's starting to look like a certain guy by the name of what was his name? Wes Sinclair or whatever his stupid name was. He used to play for the Renegades. But also number 2 would be the Flight's defense. I mean, they gave up 30-some points last week and hold Tampa Bay to actually 0. Their defense won the game for them, actually. And number 3, my early favorite defensive player of the year, David Lee. The dude looks unstoppable. Best strong safety in this game. He's got a tremendous build. Made my life miserable this week.
Don't know if you're aware. I don't even know if you're aware of it, but most of us created 2 players in this game, and even though I'm part of the ownership committee, I created myself, Doug Bose, running back for Arizona. David Lee is my second player. I don't know if you knew that.
Actually, I know it.
That is actually, he's named after my dad who passed away. That was my dad's first and middle name, so. Yep.
Yeah, we're actually going to take him in the draft, actually, and Tokyo beat us to the punch, and we wound up with Fulmer.
Well, I'm pretty damn sure your dad must be smiling upon him, smiling down upon this game right now regarding the fact that he just took a kick return for a touchdown and absolutely dominated that team. Like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Well, let me run through these games real quick. I'll just throw out the numbers for everybody in case you've been under a rock this past week and didn't get to see. But the Kitsune beat the Pack 31-23. Uh, Arizona defeated Boston 34-6. As you had mentioned, Alan, the Flight took out the Tampa Bay Stallions 13-0. And the
Mm-hmm.
Bulls defeated the Cobras 34-23. Now there was two things that happened, and I know the IFL is only 2 weeks old,
Mm-hmm.
but two things happened last week that have never happened before. Do either of you know what they were?
Let me guess. A pick six and six interceptions by one team.
I'm sure those could count, but those weren't the ones I was looking at. Chris, you have any idea what I'm getting at?
No.
Well, first thing will put a smile on your face. The Flight defeating the Stallions 13-0 gives us the first ever shutout in this league.
It's
Oh
funny how
yeah.
Cody Klein actually said that.
Right.
He actually said that. I'm like, yo, it's crazy how even though we shut out Tampa Bay, I'm still not happy. I'm still kind of happy. Yeah, we won the game, but at the same time, like there's a lot of work that needs to be improved with the team. I mean, when you look at it, just from looking back at that game, that's the scary part. Let's be honest, Tampa Bay's lucky it was even 13-0 because it could have been a lot more than that. I mean, you can only imagine what would happen if the Flight's offense actually got into a role in rhythm with their defense.
And I'm sure you're feeling like Bo Davis right now because he and the Boston Liberty feel exactly the same way.
Basically.
You know, they love where they're at defensively. The offense is just driving them crazy.
And I can put three to that. This
Well,
week,
here was the second thing.
this week, the defense actually played pretty daggum good. I will say that I give Ed the tremendous credit. But this week, the offense got stuck in the mud. I will say that.
And here was the second thing I was getting at that I don't think anybody had taken notice to or anybody had thought about it or whatever. But we had set a streak, if you will, just in the first week to touch back on what had happened in week one. If you actually go back and look at the schedule of week one, you will see that the Baltimore Bulls beat the Pack, the Boston Liberty beat the Stallions, the Cobras beat Kitsune, and the Flight fell to the Outlaws. That meant all four teams that were home won.
Oh, I know the third. I know it now.
This week, Arizona was home, they won. The Flight was home, they won. The Bulls were at home, they won. But Tokyo went into Carolina and got the victory. So the Tokyo Kitsune is the first team in IFL history to go on the road and win a game. So the home teams are 7-1 thus far in the IFL.
And unfortunately, we had to be the first.
So the Cobras, the Stallions, the Pack, and the Liberty are all home this week. We'll see how much that helps. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. This week is the first week Arizona's on the road. I thought I'd throw that out there. Tokyo is on the road for the third straight week. I don't know if you knew that.
Mm-hmm.
Tampa Bay's home this week, and that's their first home game. So it's going to be an interesting week of games here. And I'm going to get into these games. We'll go look at the current situations with the pick'em and let everybody know where everyone's at with the pick'em because I found it to be an interesting week. Baltimore at Boston, and based on the pick'em, Baltimore's up 12-3, so Baltimore's a clear odds-on favorite in this one. The Flight are at the Pack, which is the two teams you two gentlemen own. and currently it's 11-4 in favor of the Pack. The Kitsunes, a huge favorite over the Stallions with a 12-3 lead in the voting, as are the Outlaws over the Cobras in 11-4. So there's no close votes this week. We've been seeing a lot of close votes in the past. Like last week, it was 14-12 for Baltimore. It was 14-13 for Philadelphia. 16-9 was even pretty close. Not in these games all this week. Everybody's decisive in who's going to win.
And to touch on the Carolina flight game with an unbiased option, I will say this: until we actually win a game, I will say the flight has to be the favorite in that game. I'm surprised we're up by that major margin. We have not won a game, including preseason. Philadelphia has won twice, but they have shown they can win a game, and we keep on losing by 8, 10. Is it this week? Is it the week we break out? I have no idea, but I am completely shocked the IFL Nation has picked us to win that game by that big of a margin. This is me.
Right. Well,
It's not because of the games you lost. It's because of how you brought to your first two teams. I mean, let's be honest. Going up against Baltimore and even putting up 40 on them, that's not easy. That's not easy.
Right.
And then when you sit up there and you go head-to-head with the Kitsune, who was coming for loss, I mean, you was able to, make it close with them. They're also not an easy team to beat. So,
they're definitely not.
They think, in this case, I can't blame them for this, but they think that because the way how the flight struggles on offense, that really they think that sooner or later it's just gonna come down to at least like a one score, maybe even 2-score lead for the Pack, and that'd be it.
For the record, gentlemen, Kitsune, they have 31 points scored in both games this season.
Unbelievable.
So obviously they have that 31 right now is their stealing. I'll get to these power rankings. And so we're going to have a nice discussion with these power rankings. Again, I'm going to jump on the owners for not getting me their power rankings. I didn't get it from everybody this week again. Definitely need owners to at least step up and start doing this.
I set mine.
Only 2 teams had first place votes this week. That's the lowest of all season. That's the lowest all season. I'm looking for your power rankings that you had sent me. Yeah, there they are. Okay.
Yeah, I sent yours.
All right. Now for the power rankings, I give you guys these numbers, and you can tell me what you think as we go. The last team in the power rankings, number 8. Either of you want to take a guess who it will be?
I'll go with Tampa.
Same.
And you would both be correct. The 0-2 Tampa Bay Stallions still sit 8th in the power ranking. The number 7 team in the power rankings belongs to
us, Carolina.
Davis, who you think?
That's a good question. I mean, who's the second to last team? I guess Carolina. You know what? I'm gonna piggyback off what Alan said.
The 7th team in the power rankings is the 1-1 Boston Liberty.
Wow.
Now that's the stunner. That's a stunner.
Yeah, I believe Boston, like I said, they have won a game. I know it's only by 6 points, but hey, we've not won a game yet. Until we win a game, we have nothing to brag about. And I believe we should be 7th right now instead of Boston.
The 6th team in the power rankings belongs to
Carolina.
I can actually see it being the flight this time.
Well, one of these is right. The 6th team in the power rankings is the Philadelphia Flight at 1-1.
Whoa.
And I called it, or can I not call it? That's because everybody
He said,
They see
"Whoa."
what the Flight can do on defense, but they can't get it going on offense.
Right.
So really, they're just that. How everybody sees them as a middle of the pack team. Like they're
Right.
basically saying, "Yo, if you can get an offense going, then maybe we'll rank you higher."
And here's how I look at it. I think you guys will both agree with this. If you take a look at
Mm-hmm.
the schedule, okay, the Flight, they played the Outlaws, who some have already stated they think is the best team in the league, and then they played the Stallions,
Mm-hmm.
which most people believe is the worst team in the league. Okay, Carolina, they played the Bulls, who, if you're not saying Arizona's the best team in the league, this is who you're picking. And then they played
Mm-hmm.
Tokyo. Both these teams
Mm-hmm.
have been ranked fourth or better since the jump we've been doing the power rankings. And they played both teams tough. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
Carolina played both teams tough, and then when you look at the Liberty beat the what people call the worst team in the league in the Stallions, and then last
Mm-hmm.
week they played what some people call the best team in the league, which is Arizona.
Mm-hmm.
The case in point with both the Stallions and the Flight, both teams
Mm-hmm.
got beat pretty handily by Arizona, and then the Flight only put up 13 points on the Stallions when a team like Boston put up 20. Now, both those teams are struggling to find offenses. Both defenses are playing exceptionally well. Whereas in the
Mm-hmm.
case of Carolina, they're putting up points, they're putting up yards. And we all know that the defensive coordinator for Carolina is a bit rusty. He hasn't coached and done this for over a year. And I think
But
people
look how many
realize that.
turnovers we had this week.
And I think people realize that. And I think the consensus is, despite being 0-2, if Carolina played either one of those two teams in seventh or eighth, they would beat them. I think that's what people think, which is why they're ahead of them in the power rankings.
Mm-hmm. And actually, you seen actually a little glimmer of Ed's old days. I mean, I think 2 interceptions, I believe, and 2 forced fumbles this week against Tokyo. The defense looked way better than it did last week,
All right.
and hopefully it'll continue.
All right. Well, let's get to the fourth team in the power rankings. Who do you gentlemen
You
think?
mean fifth? Fifth would be Carolina, by the way.
Yes, the fifth. That's my mistake.
Um,
You piggybacking that, Davis?
no. Well, yeah. I might as well.
Yeah.
I'm debating it. I want to say yes to Carolina, but there's also some teams that I think. Well, one team in particular does not deserve to be 3. Maybe that's just me. Yeah,
And
one
who would
team
that be?
is actually the Cobras
Okay.
because Baltimore showed exactly what I said on the I believe it was the Everyday Chat. I said that with New York, you can already figure out what they're gonna do. I mean, I'm obviously not gonna tell you guys what it is. You guys have to look back at week 1 and to see exactly what I'm talking about. And you need to look at the week 2 game to see exactly what I'm talking about.
Mhm.
To see what I'm talking about in this case. I mean, like Tokyo gave us the formula, and unless New York switches it up, hey, I can see New York going a little bit further down in the power rankings if people would see what I see, and if they'll prepare for that in every game.
Well, the fifth team in the power rankings, just so you guys know, is the 0-2 Carolina Pack, which
Number
gets
5
us.
team, and you're on 2. But yeah, it was like what Doug said. I mean, it's the games y'all went up against. Y'all basically pushed them to the limit.
Right. So it takes us to the top half of the league, the top 4 teams. And those 4 teams that are left are the Bulls, Cobras, Outlaws, and Kitsune. Who do you gentlemen feel is sitting fourth in the power rankings?
Even though I believe they should be ranked higher over my perspective and what Chris has said, I believe it is actually the Tokyo Kitsune.
I agree.
The 4th team in the power rankings at 1-1, the New York Cobras.
Whoa. Trademark face looks like me.
Oh man. Oh man. It's funny how I mentioned. It's funny how I mentioned the Cobras just a couple seconds ago, and just like that they leapfrog ahead of the pack. Gotta be kidding me.
Yeah. All right. I'm not even going to waste any time. The third team in the power rankings.
Tokyo.
Kitsune.
Who'd you say there, Alan?
Tokyo.
And that's who it is. The Tokyo Kitsune is the third team at 1-1. Now is the good question. Both these two teams are 2-0. Is it the Outlaws or the Bulls? Who's number one? Who's number two?
Bulls 2, Outlaws 1.
Even though I believe I'm gonna say Baltimore's gonna be number one because of the fanfare they've been getting, but I believe Arizona should be a little better. I believe they should be one, but I believe Baltimore's gonna be one again.
Oh.
And next week.
The number one and number two teams are as follows. Sitting number two in the power rankings at 2-0, the Baltimore Bulls, and the number one team at 2-0 is the Arizona Outlaws.
I'm proud. They should have got it right. I'm proud Arizona has been the best team. And I will say this as a fellow honor. Arizona's proven they have been the best team. And if you look at their preseason game against Baltimore, I say they would have beat Baltimore if they wouldn't have had them two injuries.
Well, I want to touch on something Mr. Davis had said to me before the season began. And this is what he said about the Outlaws. And Chris, you'll remember this. He had said that Diggs and Savage together will go on in this season and basically prove how good they could have been had they been given freedom to do as they wish when they worked together before.
Yo, you might as well call me the fucking prophet from Halo. Did I or did I not call this?
But I will say this though, Doug. Next week, they've got to prove they have gotten better. They have got a skeleton that's been hanging in their living rooms for a couple years.
Okay.
And you know who that is. And I remember if it wasn't, I will say this, in another league, I actually faced these two in my last game, other league, and the skeleton's me.
Okay.
We'll see we'll see if they actually have been the real ordeal, or that they just knows how to beat them. And that will be the story in week 4. I will tell you that. I am not scared of Arizona, and I will never be.
He's never scared there, Davis. How about you?
Me either. I mean, like, I believe I said this when it involved a different game, involved a fighting game that I played called Super Smash Bros. I said this. I'm not afraid of any fighter. The same can be said when it goes to this game. I'm not afraid of any team. Any team can be beaten. I mean, like, sooner or later, Baltimore and Arizona, they're going to get beaten. This is not going to be like the Mulder situation, where they couldn't be beaten, they just passed all day. They're going to eventually find a weakness in that team, in those teams, and they are going to lose one way or the other. If it's not going to be against the fight, it's going to be if it's not going to be against the pack, if it's not going to be against the Cobras, it's going to be against someone.
Yeah.
We just don't know who at this point because it's early in the season. But I'm not afraid of any team.
I want to say this for week 3. It was brought to me, and it was asked of me. I won't throw out who asked it, but somebody said to me, if the Outlaws can beat the Cobras this week, because the Outlaws go to New York for their first road game, and the Baltimore Bulls go to Boston. So I was asked if the Bulls win and the Outlaws win, and then those two teams can go into week 4 and also win again. Now, week 4, it gets a little tougher for the Outlaws, I think, or even tougher, because they're home against Carolina. and the Baltimore Bulls go to Tampa Bay. Now, the Bulls will probably be favored in both those games. Meaning, if both these teams go into Week 5 4-0, do we even need to do a game of the week vote? Because they'd be playing.
No,
I think so.
no, I don't think it's needed. If they go in 4-0, it's not needed. There's no way in blue hell could you tell me that two teams 4-0 going head to head is worth going is going to top that. I mean, there's no way.
Yeah.
Point blank period. You might as well just have a vote for the second game. You know, the 4:05 game at least. 4 o'clock.
Yeah. Just to get off topic for a second, Ramos says in the chat that he believes the Cobras should be ranked higher than his Kitsune.
I disagree with that. I will say this. Why? Because and I was not here, so I'm going to speak from last week. I believe Tokyo is a better team than and the reason why, if it wasn't for them two fumbles, you can even throw in maybe a couple interceptions if I'm not mistaken. Tokyo would have won that game. New York won that game by a whisker.
Exactly what I'm talking about.
Tokyo has got now the best defensive star right now in the IFL, and David Lee. The dude has been unstoppable. He made my life. He made my hair gray a little bit, and I only will be 30 next February. And I'm telling you, Tokyo is for real. They might be just 1-1 right now, but I will say, in Baltimore, better be watching out because Ramos has proven to be a very strong winner. And the dude, I said this in the preview show, Tokyo is going to be one of the hardest teams to beat when it comes to the end of the year.
Yeah, I agree fully. I mean, Ramos, so you're saying that it's saying they beat as simple as that. Yes, they did beat you, but this the thing. They beat you by one mistake.
Uh-huh.
That's what I'm saying. One blown coverage. If that defense does not blow that coverage in a heat of moment like that,
Okay.
it's a wrap for New York. Plain simple.
All right, I love y'all.
I pretty much had their number all game. And like I said, all y'all gotta do is look back at that game. I'm not gonna spoil you what I said at that game chat, but David Lee pretty much knew what I knew.
Mm-hmm.
They throw it your way, hey, rushes up to your hands, catch it.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and I mean, people can argue this too. If it wasn't for David Lee, Carolina could have easily won that game.
Exactly. Gave us the
David Lee has been an outright beast and my favorite for early defensive player of the year in the NFL.
Got an early favorite for offensive player?
Offensive player? That's a question mark. You got a bunch of good right now.
I mean, I agree. I mean, that's even hard. Like, there's not only like what Alan says, a lot of good offensive players, but it's just that there's a lot of good defenses too. So, I mean, it's gonna be hard to see who's gonna win the MVP race at the moment.
Right now,
defensive
is TJ Speak.
Oh yeah. I'll give you that. TJ Speak. I'll definitely give you that. But there's also Kincaid, though, despite his interceptions and despite those that one lucky win against Kitsune, he's been pretty good when it goes to the passing yards category, as it should be expected. So he is in the running of, MVP discussion as well as the passing title. So, can't take that away from him.
Well, when you got your own quarterback picking the other team to beat y'all, I mean, I thought he meant MVP too much. That's right, King Cannon. I've seen it where you've picked Arizona over New York.
I don't know if you knew that, Chris.
You what?
King Cannon on the pick'em took Arizona instead of New York.
Oh, you jerk! You did it on purpose.
He said, "Oh, you jerk." Oh hell. Well, I want to get to
He did that out of reverse psychology. To basically say, he picked them to really say that New York is gonna win.
the. All right, I want to get into
Mhm.
week 3 here. We're going to into some week 3 games. Get you guys' opinions on these games.
All right.
As we head into week 3,
Mhm.
we have the Baltimore Bulls, who are 2-0, and they're at the 1-1 Boston Liberty. Now, the Bulls have put up 34 points in a victory, and then they put up 55 points in a victory. So clearly, they're scoring some points. But they allowed 23 and 45. The Liberty has scored 20 points and 6 points. My question is these following questions. 1, who you got winning? 2, can the Bulls put up that kind of points against the Boston Liberty defense, which I think most people would agree has been one of the better defenses in the league? And 3, can the Liberty actually find the scoreboard in this game, considering it seems like Baltimore's defense thus far has been a little suspect?
That's a good question. Damn. Because it was like you said, Baltimore's another team, just like the Flight. If they can get an offense going, you might want to reconsider those power rankings. So, like, hmm,
Yeah, Liberty's been struggling offensively big time.
sheesh.
The offense has been pretty solid.
That's that's a hard first question. I
I
mean, I don't know.
I can already answer to you that I've actually played Baltimore, and I've actually got to watch Boston a little bit against the Arizona game. I actually was bored that night and actually watched the game entirely.
Huh?
Um, my opinion, Baltimore wins, and they win pretty daggum easily. I mean, last week I've seen a lot of stuff Boston needs to improve on offense, but I will say they do got a decent, good bronze running back.
Mm-hmm.
I will say that, but Boston's defense to me looks good, but it don't look great. The way Baltimore, I say their offense is a little actually tied a little better than Arizona's. I believe Baltimore wins the game easily.
Well, I'm going to throw
But
this out to you. Throw this out so
mhm,
you're aware. Despite
mhm,
losing 34 to 6 to
mhm,
what is the number one team in the power rankings.
mhm,
What gets lost in that score, and I've noticed that a lot
mhm,
of people do not think about this. Arizona was lucky enough to get 2 pick sixes against a suspect offense. You take those points off the
mhm.
board. Arizona only wins that game 20 to 6. That's a
Right.
solid showing by that Boston defense.
And that's the reason why I'm picking actually Baltimore in that game. They actually had they had 6 interceptions against New York, even though it was King Cannon. I mean, the way the Boston's offense has been throwing pick sixes to Arizona, don't be surprised they threw a couple more pick sixes to Baltimore this week, and Baltimore routes Boston.
Well,
That's what I'm
compare
I
saying.
don't know, man.
those defenses though.
I
Boston's
think with Bo Davis, I think this is how he sees it. I mean, your defense is good enough. He doesn't have to work on the
Hmm.
defense right now if he feels like the plays that he has put in place are good enough for right now. I can see him just straight up focusing on the offense and really nothing more. I mean, like if he just got to get a like a couple good formations that really think that can fit his offensive scheme and really is all up the potential at this point.
right. Well, here's what I'm getting at: is Baltimore's defense, because we just said how Arizona got the pick sixes. Is Baltimore's defense, in your opinion, on the same level as Arizona, or vice versa?
Oh, Arizona's defense is definitely better, and I will say that.
Agreed.
All right. So I take the consensus is you both believe Baltimore's going to win this game. I believe you both agree Baltimore's probably not going to score the points like they have. and
Mhm.
Boston might score a little bit more than they have been. But at the end of the day, Baltimore should get this win pretty easily. Is that the consensus here?
I believe so.
For
If
Allen,
Baltimore gets the pick sixes.
for Allen, that's the consensus for me. I can't see it being like that. I mean, like I can actually see it being a closer game than Allen thinks. I mean, I can see it really coming down to a potential, like, say, like, I can really be a short, I can see it being a short game. That's how I can see it, like 21-14, maybe, something like that.
Mhm.
But
But I
I can't
will
really
say
see it
this.
being, I can't see it being a blowout. Not with that defense.
But I will say this: Boston on their a running game, they are looking actually with a bronze running back. They are looking very impressive. There's a few areas they need to work out on the offense, and until when Boo gets that when Bo Tom finally gets the show going on, it's going to be a tough team to beat
Yeah,
later on this season.
I agree.
Experience is the key.
Right. All right.
But
Well,
the
I'm gonna
thing
give
is,
you the
like,
next
some
one.
defenses are probably made to be so good to where you don't have to score, like, say, 21 or 14 points a game. Let the defense do most of the work.
Yeah.
You mean, like, Doug? You just mentioned that with
Mm-hmm.
Philadelphia and Tampa Bay not too long ago. Philadelphia's offense didn't really have to do a whole lot, even though they should have. They didn't have to do a whole
Mm-hmm.
lot because that defense was just dominating.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So some defenses are made that way.
Right.
Some teams made that way. I take that back, but I don't know. We will definitely find out and see what's gonna happen. Basically, like what the number one, number two offense against what is it, four defense? I'm
And
pretty
that game should be at 1 o'clock if I'm not mistaken. Ain't that Doug? Ain't I right, Doug?
What's that?
should be.
The Boston Baltimore game has been moved to 1 o'clock Saturday, I believe.
I'll
Uh,
announce that here in a minute.
mhm.
This way, guys know when games are going to be where. I just want to do the quick hitters on these games. All right, I'm gonna get to this one. The 1-1 Tokyo Kitsune is at the 0-2 Tampa Bay Stallions. Now, all I'm gonna say is this: the Stallions, despite being 0-2, have given up the second least amount of points on the season, which means as far as points allowed goes, they're the second best team in the league. Despite being 0-2, their problem is they've only scored 14 points in 2 weeks.
Scored
Can
absolutely none against the fight. So,
right? So can Tokyo put up some points against this defense? Can Tampa Bay find some offense? Because I believe Tampa Bay is clearly the underdog in this game, and
Mhm.
the way Tokyo's played, this is all I can say as far as Tokyo's played. Now Tokyo's clearly played two teams that are offensively more powerful than Tampa Bay, but they gave up 33 points to the Cobras,
Mhm.
and last week they gave up 23 points to Carolina. 23 points given up to Carolina, who I think has a
Mhm.
pretty solid offense, doesn't look good for Tampa Bay because Tampa Bay's offense has clearly been struggling. If I'm a
Mhm.
betting man, Tampa Bay might score in garbage time, but I think Tokyo is going to get this one as a complete runaway.
agreed.
Well,
As much as I hate to say it, agreed. I just hope Jax Diamond can somehow get it together. For this game, if not in this game, the next few weeks, because right now this offense is looking very, very bad, and especially with those two goal tight ends. I mean, they just could not get it going the first 2 weeks. Now, hopefully, it'd be one of those kind of starts where it's just slow at first, but then they slowly start to get into a rhythm, and then they get dangerous.
It don't get any easier for Tampa Bay after this week. Yeah, I mean, they got
It
Tokyo
don't,
this week. Then
don't.
they're home. Yeah, no, I'm sorry. I said they're home, but uh, they're home against Baltimore, who's been an offensive powerhouse. Week 5, they got to go on the road against the Pack. Week 6, they're on the road against the Cobras, and then they finish
ugh.
out. They finish out the first half of the season at Week 7, home against Arizona. So
Yeah.
it just ain't getting any easier for them. Quite frankly, based on the way teams have played thus far, they've gotten Boston and Philadelphia, which to me was going to be their two easiest opportunities at a victory, and they lost both.
Well, the non-biased opinion. If this game's going to be a close, it's going to be daggum Tokyo. Even though Tokyo has looked flashes of greatness, I don't know if anybody's noticed this, but Tokyo loves to play hot potato with the ball sometimes. They've had, I believe, 4 fumbles this season. 2 against Carolina, I know for a fact, and 2 against New York. And Dubset sometimes loves to look like King Cannon. I mean, the little short dude, he threw some pick sixes. Sometimes they do look like that's a little bit, but most of the times they do look like Dr. Jackal.
Oh yeah.
Don't be surprised this game's a low scoring affair. I do got Tokyo winning this game, but do not be surprised this is a low scoring affair game.
I agree, actually.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll get to the next game. Next game is the 2-0 Arizona Outlaws at the 0-1 New York Cobras. This is an important game for me because I'm the running back for the Outlaws, and baby brother is owning the Cobras, so it's gonna be fun for that. Just like last week, I got to play against my son with Boston, so I just had to throw out that personal thought. But I just want to throw this out: the Cobras, they gave up 31 points, winning on a last-second field goal. Gave up 31 points, which is insane.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot of points to be given up, and then they gave up 34 points. So they've given up
Mm-hmm.
65 points on the season. All right, but scoring, they've had their fair share of 56 points. So they have 56 points, giving up 65. But Arizona, on the other hand, has scored 71 points thus far, which is good for number 2 in the league. And they have a league leading only 20 points allowed all season. And I want to touch on those 20 points. Chris, do you remember that touchdown the flight got in garbage time?
Yes.
That's the only touchdown Arizona has allowed all season.
That's crazy.
Do you want me to be friendly on this one, or do you want me to be evil J.D. Allen again?
I don't care.
Just give us your honest analysis.
Do you want my opinion, or do you want my friendly opinion? And this is going to be no offense to anybody.
Both. How does that sound? I'm serious.
All right. The friendly people, I'll say it'll be a close game. I'll be that. But if my honest opinion, I would not be surprised this game's a blowout. And I will say this, the way King Cannon has been playing them interceptions and the way Arizona did them pick sixes last week, don't be surprised this is another daggum blowout from Arizona.
If you don't mind me to piggyback off that, hey,
all right.
That week 1. I said week 1.
Mm-hmm.
Kitsune, they have the formula. I mean, like, I'm about to spoil it right here. If you guys didn't see week 1, and but if y'all saw week 2, New York loves to throw deep. Plain simple. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but they got 3 wide receivers. One's a gold, two of them are silvers. King K's going to look to a slot wide receiver who's a silver. It's most likely he's going to have some speed abilities on him and route guard. I'm just taking guess all off of what he has for his abilities. So I'm like, for you defensive coordinators out there, you guys should already know, since they love to go deep, most likely deep post or some kind of go route, you guys already know the 3 plays to stop him. The 3-2 plays to stop him at best. And you will get the ball a lot of times, but you got to be able to score too. Because it will work most of the time, but it can be just that one mess up, like we saw against the Kitsune. Boom. It's a wrap.
Right. And I will touch on this even more. I don't know if Taco's aware there is no gold strong safety in All Pro Football 2K8. And I don't know how he's going to be able to prepare for that unless he's actually created a team with a gold strong safety. He's going to have to prepare for what Arizona can bring to the table. And the way and King Cannon is clearly going to have the best game of his life against Arizona for New York to win this game. And I just don't see Arizona in a rout.
Wow. In the
Big
route.
talk, I love you to death, bro, but King Cannon, he has been throwing too many interceptions. Arizona, they've been playing the best ball of their life. I've just got to, I just got to pick with my heart.
Agreed.
There's nothing wrong with that.
No offense, and who knows? Maybe King Cannon will blow Arizona out, and New York finally can solidify as a top dog team. Until then, I've got to pick Arizona.
Yeah, the big stat that stands out for me in this game is 20 points being allowed by them in 2 weeks, and only one was a touchdown. And we know New York's been giving up points. And Arizona's actually outscored the Cobras. And as far as I'm concerned, Arizona's not built to put up a lot of points, but New York is. Now, it could be a product of who they've played. This could be a situation where you might be looking too much into it. But me personally, I got Arizona winning. But I think this is going to be one of those hold on to your seats. It might come down to the who's got the ball last and win. That's
Yeah, New York to me, I don't know if I told Ed or you this, they remind me of a certain team in that other league that everybody's always bought into, but I've really not seen them as a great team. And I think you already know who I'm talking about, and I don't want to get into that, but
I'm guessing say
that's
Dallas,
who
right?
that's who New York reminds me of.
Dallas, yeah. Because of the
Mm-hmm.
wide receivers they have on that offense, on top of having a serviceable running back. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
like that's exactly what I was thinking of when they made their build. I'm like, hold up, this is low key Dallas all over again, just with 3 wide receivers.
And I never bought into that.
But they actually have 4 receivers.
Oh, never mind. Then yeah, Dallas all over again.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
their fourth receiver is a 2 ability bronze, I believe.
It amazes
Mm-hmm.
me how they're not doing. It's crazy because if you actually notice in their games, they're not using that fourth wide receiver a whole lot. They're using more so on
Mm-hmm.
3 wide receiver sets, maybe
Mm-hmm.
with tight end. I'm wondering like why. You should just rock 4 wide receiver sets right now. Then
I stand corrected.
in this case, 5 wide.
Charlie Hogan's a 1 ability copper.
That still shouldn't stop him from seeing.
Mm-hmm.
So
Well, look at Leroy Brown. He gets some good catches for a copper.
yeah, I'm like, hell, look at Max Mondo. He gets some good catches for a copper. Hell, last I checked, he put, 100-something yards?
Oh, yeah.
So
Even
I'm
some of
like,
our freaking
coppers can
generics, they
be
be
good.
catching the ball pretty good.
Like coppers can be good if they're handled correctly. So like, I mean, like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what's he thinking there, but hey, I mean, like, you got a fourth wide receiver, use him. You don't know what'll happen until you use him.
I have to double check the stats from
Mm-hmm.
last week, but in week 1, Charlie Hogan had 3 catches for 39 yards.
Not too bad for a one
Eli,
ability copper.
Exactly. That's actually good.
right, Zeli had 6 for 140. Jada Kiss had 4 for 119, and Drew Ritter had 11 for 110. So they had 3 receivers over 110 yards.
Mm-hmm.
But that still should
Too
not
bad.
stop the copper wide receiver from being used, though, regardless.
And while we're talking about the receivers, I'm going to touch on Beakley. I think if they put Beakley in the game a little more and used him a little more, I think that would help them out greatly.
Agreed.
I mean, Beakley got
Mm-hmm.
91 yards in week 1, so he's clearly usable. I think they need to feed him.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of feed
Mm-hmm.
him, since I got you on the call here, and I'm just going to throw that out. We ain't even got a comment on it, but I think Clapper's hungry. That's all I'm saying. So Let's get to the last game to discuss for the week. And the reason why I saved it for last is because you two gentlemen happen to be in the game.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
So here and have your little discussion, if you will, about it.
Mm-hmm.
But the pack and the
Mm-hmm.
flight will be doing battle. One team is 1-1, that being the flight, and the pack being 0-2. This game will take
Mm-hmm.
place in Carolina, where the pack
Mm-hmm.
are 0-1, and they're the only home team to lose this season. Uh, I want you both to come at me two different ways. Both of you, I want you both to do this. One, I want you to come at me speaking as the owner of your team, and then I want you to
Mm-hmm.
come at me with this information on this game as an unbiased journalist, if you will.
All right. Well, since Philadelphia's the guest, I'll give them the first rep.
Mm, well, speaking on it from an owner's perspective, it was like I said earlier. Only thing the flight has to get right is the offense. That's
Mm-hmm.
it. Their defense is pretty much solid enough. I mean, they just got to get the offense going. No, there's
Mm-hmm.
nothing else I can really say to you know sugarcoat it in this case. I mean, the corners are fine, the linebackers are fine, the defensive tackles are fine on the defense. On offense, the running back is actually fine. He just had to get the ball more. The tight ends need to be they need to get the ball more. The the wide receivers they need to get the ball more. Really, I'll say good luck to that because the Pack's defense is not like they're not a team to be messed with. I mean, outside of Arizona, I mean the Pack is the toughest defense so far for the flight. In fact, that's actually the competition for them to show that they need to find a way to get an offense going. And somewhat the exact same can be said with the Pack as well. I mean, all the Pack needs is a good offense, and after that, the sky's the limit.
Mm-hmm.
Not much else I can say about that.
As an owner's perspective, I will say this. The defense played outstanding last week compared to week one. We had 4 turnovers, which I believe Ed's finally getting rust off of him, and he's starting to shed new light. And on offense, I will say that we really felt like we had a bad game, and of everybody's surprise, but you'll see a few adjustments actually been made. More than that has been all season. And I've seen some areas we needed to improve on. One thing, we don't want freaking Ebenezer Conrad to get six catches of freaking 6-7 catches a game, even though he had decent positive yardage. We're killing our star players by doing that. And we were able to look away from that area this week. And hopefully the guys like Fulmer, Watts, and Smith can get the touchdowns, and definitely Clapper. Clapper has been a Charles Sims for the Buccaneers type of running back. Even though he don't get the rushing yards like Northrop does, his receiving catches have been tremendous, especially during practice. And that's an area that we're continuing to look at, and hopefully he'll get some more carries through rushing yards. The rushing yards he's been getting, don't be surprised he'll break a few. Dude's a dual threat running back that's ready to break free. As a journalist, this could go either way. If you look at Philadelphia, they do have a few weaknesses, and Carolina can take advantage on that. But on the other side, you got Northrop. And Carolina is not too great of stopping the run. And Northrop can have an outstanding game like he did in the preseason, and this could daggum go down to the wire.
To piggyback off of what you said, really, if you're looking at it, I mean, the flight's not really that good when it goes to stop and run either. I mean, outside of the Tampa Bay game, I mean, Doug Bowles, really, let's be honest, if he had more carries, he probably would have been at 200 yards. Tops.
And I'll also say this,
he had
too.
less carries, he had 99.
And I will also say this, too. I guess as a both. Philadelphia, I mean, I don't care who you're freaking playing. When you get the first shutout in that IFL history, you're doing something right. Even though Tampa Bay is clearly not the best offense in the world, surprisingly, with a good 2-goal tight ends, maybe they're running wrong formation whatsoever. But when you give up 0 points, your defense is playing good. And I definitely took that into consideration with my changes this week that have already been submitted.
Well, can't argue with that, but really the way how I see it is that obviously why would I discredit my own team, but it's more or less like Tampa Bay just can't get it together on offense at all right now. And the fight basically took this as a confidence booster at this point. So I'm like, I'm not really gonna, it's a good thing to shut out a team, but at the same time, you got to look at what's happening with the team at the moment. And let's be honest with the Stallions, this has been going down since preseason, so really it's been about 3 weeks. Oh yeah, about 3 weeks. So like, really, they just can't get it together. So with that game, and that's just as much evenly matched with the Fighting Impact than it is with the Carolina, as it is with the Tampa.
I agree with that. Right, I agree with that. I mean, hopefully my changes did help the offense. Even though we were getting positive yards on the fullback, I did not want that area to expand on. We do not have a star fullback. Ebenezer Conrad is a generic fullback. He cannot get the great yards. If it's thrown a clapper, he'll have more yards. And that's the thing that's put us from 2-0 to 0-2 is the generics. The generics have cost us both games. Last week it was Hunter. This week it was Conrad. Hopefully next week no free, and hopefully Brian Stonebreaker and get some positive yards or something, even though he's been getting some catches for a generic. But this is going to be I will definitely say it's going to be a definitely close game. I just don't see it being a rout like some of these games have potential to be.
Agree. I can really just see it being like, as I said with the Kitsune game, I can see it being like a 2-score game, maybe even a 1-score game. Really, nothing too crazy. I mean, I can't see it being a blowout.
Yeah, and I will also throw this in me and Chris have met in the Fast and Other League as assistant coaches, coordinators, and even it feels like we're finally going to get our show on the road. I have tremendous respect for Chris. He is a very bright young dude, and I'm glad I feel like he's finally gotten a monkey off his back and he can do his show like I can do mine. And I wish him best of luck, but not too much Saturday at 1 o'clock.
The feeling is mutual, basically. I mean, like, not much I can say is you basically took the words right out of my mouth. I mean, you mean like you already know when it's Saturday. I mean, it's all business.
Oh basically. Yeah, exactly. Chris is a very cool dude. I've known him for 2-3 years coming now, and it's an honor to play.
Agreed. Like to see what it's like to actually take down a former member of the Maulers that went undefeated, and people seem to hate it because of them not only being undefeated, but them being the low-key Patriots. So, for me in this case, yeah, that'll pretty much feel better when we had an in on Saturday and actually beat you.
Well,
Yeah, and I feel like we're going away from more of the Maulers look now, and we're more focusing on Allen JD football and more of the Carolina Pack brand. Even though the team was built closer resemblance on offense as the Maulers that year, it has more of a potential of being more of a different team now. And this week, it will start to look in the shape of plays I feel like is the best plays instead of more plays that I believe could work.
Same here.
All right, Nigger.
all right. Well, I'm gonna get into these games for the week because I noticed you keep mentioning times and stuff for net. So this way, guys know. Saturday, 1 o'clock. The Saturday 1 o'clock games will be as follows, and that will be the Philadelphia Flight at the Carolina Pack and the Baltimore Bulls at the Boston Liberty. Both will take place Saturday at 1 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
And then on Friday at 4 o'clock, it'll be the 1-1 Tokyo
You
Kitsune.
mean Saturday?
Yeah, Saturday. Jeez, I'm all over myself. Saturday at 4. So yeah, those games are Saturday at 1. And then Saturday at 4 o'clock, Tokyo Kitsune 1-1 at the 0-2 Tampa Bay Stallions. And the game of the week that will take place at 4 o'clock, 8:30 rather, on Friday night. See, I'm all over the place here. Will be the 2-0 Outlaws at the 1-1 Cobras. So to recap, this time saying it properly. Saturday at 1, Philadelphia at Carolina, Baltimore at Boston. 4 o'clock Saturday, Tokyo at Tampa Bay. And at 8 o'clock or 8:30 on Friday night, the Outlaws at the Cobras with the game of the week.
Mm-hmm. But can I address something right quick?
Okay.
Guys, if you're listening this live or through the playback, please do me a favor and Doug a favor. Vote once for Game of the Week. I've noticed multiple people, not mention any names, voted more than once. Doug is putting the numbers up, and that's the only person that should pop up 4 times. I've seen people vote 4 times. I've seen people vote 2 times and vote 3. Vote once, one per game for the week. Which one you want? Not 3, not 4, once. And submit those power rankings. I know I submitted mine, and I know these fellow honors can take 2 seconds to submit 8 teams the way you want them, 1 through 8. Got that clear, Doug?
You seem a little deterred by this.
Well, I just don't like teams. I believe 1 vote, one per game. If not, we might have to start deciding between the owners who's going to be the game of the week, huh?
Basically. I mean, like, if it has to
Because-
come down to it, then it is how it is.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully it won't have to.
Because Doug already knows my opinion on it. I mean, I will say more of this over privately, but I've noticed one team has been voting for their own selves for the past 3 weeks now, and being more unbiased towards the opinion.
Can't get mad at you for that.
You already know who I'm talking about. I'm not mentioning it on there.
No, I don't. Because I
I'll tell
haven't
you
really
in a
been paying
private message.
attention. I mean, like, I've obviously been, I've been doing the games for just about everyone. I haven't had time to really pay that much attention.
I'll send you a PM.
And to be blunt, as much as I hate to say it, that's probably the reason as for why I haven't even, done the power rankings. Because
Well, they did. I will say this: they did not get the game of the week. I will say that.
Okay.
We just narrowed it down.
Damn. I'll take a guess and say New York
They,
because I hate New York.
yeah.
Yeah, would have thought I'm right. Damn New Yorkers.
Yeah.
Damn it.
Well, New York is the game of the week this week.
Damn New Yorkers.
hmm Well, right now, I mean, I will say, I cannot go and clear the stay this. We have right now 3 teams that have not got the game of the week, and as unbiased this can be, these teams need to be aired Friday night in prime time. Number one, Philadelphia. Philadelphia's got New York next week. New
Oh,
York,
that's
Philadelphia is
automatic.
a big rivalry.
Oh,
They
that's
should be game
automatic.
of the week next week. Then you got Tokyo. Tokyo is a very good team. They've not got the game of the week. Then you got Tampa Bay. Even though they're winless right now, Jack Stoneman's a very cool dude, and he's just getting started. Give him some love. Let's just start showing a few of the unbiased and let these guys get some game of the week. Everybody vote for Philadelphia, New York next week. Let's give Chris. Chris has put so much work in to the broadcast and getting these games out for us to enjoy. He's spending. He is not getting paid for this stuff.
Damn right.
Doug or
It's not even factoring that. It's simple fact. I'm like, yo, there's no way in hell you guys cannot sit up there and tell me you don't want to see another Philadelphia versus New York game. There's no way. Because almost every
that's
time
who
the Eagles and
should be.
Giants face each other, it's at least it's always going to be a entertaining game at least.
Who cares if both teams are 1-2 or 2-1 or whatever they're going to be? Vote for the guys that have not got the game of the week. Show them some love. Like, show Chris. Chris spends countless hours behind the scenes, and he ain't getting paid for it. Let's show him some few love. Let's show Jack Steinman some love later on. Let's show our good friend in Mexico, Ramos Lynn, I've known for over 3 years now. Let's just show these people some love, and let's start showing some unbiased. Well said, Doug.
If the guys are truly voting biasly, yes. If they're truly voting the way they're voting because they truly feel that's the game, then I'm good with it.
Mm-hmm. Well, most of the guys I have seen are voting unbiasedly, but there's this one group of people right now. I believe they're still voting biasedly, and and you already know who they are. And I just wish they would show more of a heart. I mean, maybe they believe they should be game of the week. They're the best team in the world, but I mean, when you vote 3 straight weeks for your team you're on instead of being unbiased, even though you're playing Boston. Well, I already daggum blew it.
Damn, some spoiler.
Yeah, I just believe the team should start look. I mean, most of the guys I've noticed they keep on voting for the same team
Damn, Zona.
each week, even though they've had a game of the week. They keep on in and out, in and out, in and out. And Boston already had a game of the week. And Boston, you already know who it is. And
Jeez.
yeah,
It's either between Boston or not Boston. It's either between Arizona or fucking Baltimore.
it's
Either the two. Yeah, you can easily narrow it down between those two.
well, you want me to say it on air, Doug, or not?
Hey man, it's up to you. I mean, like we can't like restrict you. I mean, like
Well, I mean, I don't know if I. Well, Doug, am I going to get back? Are you going to get mad for this?
You're speaking your mind.
exactly. I'm like,
All right.
Doug,
Um,
Speak your mind. the team you're speaking it on, then we'll know
Okay,
their feelings. We'll understand where they're coming from.
okay. I want to know. I mean, guys, TJ, I love you to death, bro, and I know you're not doing this for a main reason. I'm not TJ. I know you've got a lot of generic guys and everything like that. But I've noticed a group of core of your guys every week are voting for y'all for the game of the week. And to put fairness in there, I had to get a core group of guys and I had to scratch it down where some of these teams will get the game of the week. Even though one team beat us this week, I just got a clear enough votes to put y'all at 1 o'clock because y'all's group of guys keep on voting for y'all, even though y'all are playing Boston. I don't know if y'all are doing it biasly or unbiasedly, but I just believe it should be addressed. And I don't understand why your group of guys keep on voting for the team. I wish some of y'all would answer that.
Like I said, maybe
because I've talked to Ed, I've talked to Doug about this, I've talked to a lot of people. Until Baltimore gives me an answer, the group will continue, and until I believe y'all should get game of the week in an unbiased situation, the group will continue until you give us an opinion. Are you doing it biasedly or unbiasedly? Are you voting for Baltimore because you're playing for Baltimore? Or are you doing it because y'all believe y'all should be the game of the week against Boston? Plain and simple.
Well, I'll look at it this way. I'm touching on Ramos's
Mhm.
comment. Ramos's comment is real simple. He says, honestly, we should vote for the game that is going to be the best of the week, even if that team gets voted, say, 5 weeks in a row. Me personally, I agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm 100% okay with the same team being called week after week after week if they're going to be a part of the best game, in our honest opinion,
Mm-hmm.
no matter who it is. And that's what I said.
Mm-hmm.
To their credit, them being Baltimore, since that's who you're speaking on, if their players, despite
Mm-hmm.
playing for that team, truly
Mm-hmm.
feel that they're playing for will be in what they feel is going to be the best game that week, I'm okay with that vote.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'm okay with that vote. And like I said, we're only going into week 3. Let's be honest.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
In week 2, Cobras in Baltimore, I can see that game getting all the votes.
Right.
That sounds good on paper. Week 4,
Mm-hmm.
they're playing the Liberty. Let's be honest here.
Mm-hmm.
The Liberty is a very solid team. Who isn't excited to see what this high-powered Baltimore defense or offense is going to do against that defense? That piques a lot of interest. Therefore,
Right.
that could say, you know what? I'm voting for this for that reason.
Week
And
5,
that's
I
why
could
some
see
guys
it.
might.
Week 5, I could see it. Unbiased. Next week, who Baltimore plays? Who does Baltimore play in week 4?
Repeat that. Who's Baltimore playing week 4?
Who does? Mm-hmm.
Tampa Bay.
There's no way you can
Tampa
sit
Bay.
there and tell me that Tampa Bay and New York should be game of the week.
Well, the other games are Cobras, Flight, Boston, Tokyo, Carolina, Arizona.
Mm-hmm. The only game of the week should be that, like I said, week 4 should be Philadelphia, New York, because I mean, you heard Cody Klein's comments, and it's built up to a heated rivalry. Fair to
Cody
unbiased.
Klein, you mean Cody Ewing?
Well, whoever made the comment about Daggum, Boston, Philadelphia, and New York,
I believe that was Cody.
it was
He's
crazy.
been going at it. I mean, like since New York was announced to be a team, we've been going at it.
Right.
So if anything,
And I love everybody to death in this league. And I don't know if these guys are just like, hey, I want to see myself on Friday nights with Cody Klein. I don't know. But
Could be.
I just wish Baltimore would just touch on that area. And I love y'all to death. No angry part about it or anything like that. I just want to see some answers, and everything's all right.
Well, I'll say this. Since everybody's saying New York, Philadelphia, week 4 because of the hype, this, that, and the other, does that get voted because of the quote unquote war of words, so to speak? And that be the only?
Yeah, but it's more to it than that. I mean, like I said, everybody.
New York and Philadelphia hate each other.
That's what I'm saying. Everybody pretty much knows the sports history between Philadelphia and New York, no matter what sport it is, no matter if it's basketball, even when it goes to like the New York Knicks or right now the Brooklyn Nets and then the Philadelphia 76ers, they low-key hate each other, even though Philadelphia hates Boston more when it goes to basketball. But
yeah, the Philly.
there's
Yeah, when I went
NHL.
to
There's even NHL when it goes to the Flyers and Rangers or even the Islanders in this case. I'll say the Rangers. I think the Rangers are in the East. Maybe I'm wrong. And of course, the top of the bunch, the Eagles and the Giants. So
yeah, because
there you go.
I've been to that area. I've been to Philadelphia, and I went to go see the Phillies and Mets, and those guys could not get along. Them guys were totally enemies. You had Mets fans getting angry with Philadelphia Phillies fans there. They hate each other, Philadelphia and New York.
Hey man, can't have it go any better than that. When it goes to a good old-fashioned Philadelphia New York rivalry, I mean, you already know.
Count out the records. Those two daggum guys hate each other. Those two cities hate each other.
Even if they're worse, they still gonna hate each other. Even if they're worse, they still want to beat each other. That's just how Philadelphia goes, man. Plain and simple.
Yeah. Exactly.
So, game of the week, I mean, pretty much everybody should have that etched in stone. It should be Philadelphia and New York, no matter what record it ends up being. I mean, we could go into this week right now. Both teams could lose. They could go 1-2. So what? Make them game of the week. Somebody, Philadelphia, New York, somebody is going to virtually get their head torn off.
Right. But I understand what Doug's saying, though. Like, given this as another perspective, let's just say war of words. You can look at Carolina and Tampa Bay, actually. And Tampa Bay, and the rivalry's kind of sizzled now in the NFL. But back in the day, the Bucks and the Panthers hated each other. You got daggum disorderly conduct penalties and all that crap back in the 2000s. You even had a guy that almost got killed, and that was Phil Simms' son, Chris. Back in the early 2000s, I remember them two teams daggum scrapping and hating each other. Just to give an unbiased fair. Now, Carolina and Tampa Bay, I mean, I believe it's going to pick up now since Tampa Bay has got a very good team, and Carolina, they got a decent team, even though I don't think they will be. But I see what Doug's saying about that.
Yeah. I agree.
Well, I'm going to get off that topic, and I'm going to go to this topic. There's two teams in this league that are 0-2. Carolina, who's home against Philadelphia, and the Stallions, who's home against Tokyo. Which team has a better chance at winning this week?
Pack.
I cannot answer this question without being biased.
No. That was stupid. Well, better chance out of the two, it's the Pack. But
I refuse to answer the question because I will be biased.
That's understandable, but that's even looking at it realistically. I mean,
I'll give Chris the floor on this one.
Basically, yeah, just looking at it realistically, it's the Pack.
If the Pack wins, is that considered an upset?
Huh?
If the Pack wins, is that considered an upset?
No. How
In
would
my
that be an
opinion,
upset?
yes.
If
In my
Tampa Bay
opinion,
beats
yes.
Tokyo, if Tampa Bay beats Tokyo, is that an upset?
That's an
Yes.
upset. That's
Yes,
an
I will
upset.
agree with that.
That's more of an upset than what you said with the Pack in Philadelphia. I don't see how that's considered really an upset due to the fact that Philadelphia obviously struggled against Arizona and they only put up 13 against Tampa Bay when really, let's be honest, it should have been more than that.
Mm-hmm.
Philadelphia, just like the Pack, is like they're trying to get an offensive identity going on.
Mm-hmm.
Tokyo, on the other hand, pretty much got everything set in stone. I mean, like
Right.
really, they should be 2-0 instead of 1-1.
Carolina could be easily 2-0 right now.
That's what I'm like.
Just a couple mistakes.
You know what I mean?
Some
Like, just mistake-free football.
dropped interception, dropped balls. I will say that Carolina can be 2-0, or they could be 1-1 or 0-2.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna look at this from the other side. There's two teams that are 2-0. Baltimore is at the 1-1 Liberty, and the Outlaws are at the 1-1 Cobras. Which team has a better chance at losing?
Baltimore.
Wait, what?
Who has a better shot at losing this week? Baltimore, who's 2-0 at the Liberty, or the Outlaws, who are 2-0 at the Cobras?
I say Baltimore.
Yeah, I'll piggyback Baltimore.
Next week will be Arizona, but this week you definitely gotta get Baltimore. That defense, I'm saying the way Dagan that running back's been running for Boston, don't be surprised you see a defensive struggle and Boston makes some adjustments on the offensive game, and I'll put Baltimore instead of Arizona. Arizona's just looking way too good against a team I'm not too high on in New York.
Well, just to touch on the comments here, Chisholm says Tokyo, based on the other question. Mr. Klein, Sexy Klein, says Carolina is the better of the 0-2 teams. He said they hung with both Baltimore, Tokyo. And then he says Philadelphia got shut out in the second half against Tampa Bay. And then Cody also says Arizona is the best team in the league right now. Baltimore has some defensive issues they're working through.
He is correct. Philadelphia did get shut out in the second half, but at the same time, it was like I said earlier for Cody Hume, who obviously wasn't here earlier, is that Philadelphia's offense is obviously just game managed. Their whole team revolves around their defense. That's why David Cox got paid the money that he got paid with. If
That's the highest player.
all they got to do is points,
I mean, I was watching.
they win the game.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
I mean, looking at Tampa Bay's offense and last week against Philadelphia, the play calling to me, I'm like, as I'm gonna just throw it as as an IFL fan and not as a scouting person, not as a scouting towards Philadelphia. I was looking at Tampa Bay. Maybe they could do some stuff right against Philadelphia. I'm looking at the daggum offensive plays for Tampa Bay, and I'm like, what is this? And I'm like, I was like, I just didn't see nothing that was called that Philadelphia couldn't stop or was attempted to stop. I'm like, what is this? And I'm gonna try to do this with Carolina. Carolina, you can see like Carolina, if they would have had just one score, they could have had an opportunity to send the game into overtime. Just one score. They had plenty of opportunities. And battling down from 14 to nothing, actually. And barely, and almost, daggum, taking the lead, actually. Carolina just blew themselves in the foot in the offense. And a lot of credits to that Tokyo defense. But I could see where people were saying that we have a better chance than Tampa Bay this week.
I got a fun question for both of you.
What's that?
I personally don't see any of this happening, but I'm going to throw it out there anyway.
Mm-hmm.
We have 2 teams 0-2, and we have 2 teams 2-0.
Mm-hmm.
Of those 4 teams, okay, does one of the 2-0 teams? How should I word this? Which team has the best chance of going 16-0 or 0-16? I'm not talking you pick one or the other. I'm talking of the 4 teams. Is Tampa Bay going to go 0-16? That seems more plausible than the other 3. Is Baltimore going to go to 16-0? More plausible than the other 3? Between those 4 teams being Carolina, Tampa Bay, Arizona, and Baltimore, do you see one of those teams going 16-0 easier than the others, or one of the other ones going 0-16?
To be blunt, I can see that being more so Arizona than Baltimore. Baltimore, I think they're gonna end up losing a game eventually against maybe even Arizona themselves, because Arizona, they look unstoppable on all phases of the ball, especially when they give the ball to Doug Bose, who's 240 pounds and can apparently juke you out like LaShawn McCoy for some reason. So basically, like,
Big Slim.
I got to give it to them. I mean, not to slight TJ, but unless if they could find a way to stop Doug Bose when that becomes game of the week eventually, then if they can stop Doug Bose, then hey, maybe it could be Baltimore.
Now, I spoke to Stevie the other day, and I said to Stevie, I said, "You're driving me crazy." And he said, "Why?" I said, "You're getting all this hype as the best team in the league, this, that, and the other." I said, "Since I play for your team, and I created this damn league," I said, "I can hear all the creeple talking shit now." I said, "So what I need you to do is I need you to go lose a few games." He started laughing and said, "Never that."
Mm-hmm.
Oh man. But yeah, I'm going to go on the record right here and say if any of these teams, of these 4 teams, I see
Mhm.
Tampa Bay winning a game eventually. I know Carolina's going to win the game, so neither one of those is going 0-16. I don't think neither Baltimore or Arizona goes 16-0, but if I had to put money on it, I'm taking Baltimore.
Damn.
Me, of all the scenarios, I could see Tampa Bay going 0-16. Arizona, I can already tell you what's going to kill them. They're hot-headed. They've never been to the promised land. I said that in my week 2 preview, and somebody's going to finally eventually get their number. They did it in the other league, and they're going to do it again. Baltimore, their defense is not that great for a team not to
Do you
beat
remember?
them.
Do you remember in the quote-unquote other league, as you mentioned? And I know
Yeah.
Davis will back this up because Davis was a victim of this as well.
Yeah.
99% of the time, their work, their time, their effort was
Mhm.
basically ignored while someone else decided to do what they wanted to do with the playbook anyway.
Correct.
Mhm. But well, without even saying that, guys in this league, worse than them, they're working on new ground, new words. They're finally getting to be each other's selves. And you've got guys in this league that have got more experience than them that know what to do to beat a team. 2 in particular, you got Baltimore and Tokyo. Tokyo and Baltimore, on experience wise, could easily beat Arizona. The game. Me and you got myself that's been playing for over 3 years, and Pooh, I believe he's been playing for a while too. And I don't know how long Stevie and Mario's been playing, and
Stevie joined the year I joined, so and that was his first year. And I think Mario came a season later. I'm trying to remember.
Right.
I don't know him personally, so I'm guessing.
And you got like guys like TJ that's been playing 10 years. It'll
Which
be
is
10
why
years
I
in July this game came out.
Which is why I picked Baltimore to be the one that went 16-0. If going to do it because his experience should get it over. I want to touch something that Mr. Klein's saying here because Mr. Klein says, he said, reminds me of the Trent Dilfer and the Ravens. I believe that's a comment about Philadelphia flight. Then he says, I don't see the Boston Liberty winning another game anytime soon, not with their offense. And he said, Tampa Bay has a solid defense, just way too many mistakes on offense, and they can't afford those mistakes. Just to touch on that comment, he and I were really active during the Tampa Bay game last week. And they had several impressive drives that ended in turnovers.
Right.
So,
and I don't believe any scenario will happen, but if I had to pick one with my basically heart, I would have to unfortunately say Tampa Bay 0-16. But even though that is like a small chance.
yeah. I smell change in Tampa Bay soon.
Mm-hmm.
I smell change to where when that change occurs, everybody's head's going to roll. They're going to be like, what? I just have that gut feeling with some stuff. Obviously, I might know a little more than the rest of you.
Hey, Doug, can I ask you this, though?
Huh?
All right. And you too, Chris.
Shoot.
Okay. If I'm going to throw this in. Do you see Baltimore winning that game last week with the Carolina defense they play this week?
That's a good question, actually.
Just repeat that and make sure I understand that properly.
Okay. If Carolina would have brought that defense they've had this week, okay,
right,
against Baltimore with the same offense as last week, do you see Baltimore winning that game?
I still feel Carolina could have won week 1, regardless.
I'm saying, would Baltimore win that game no matter for a fact with the Carolina defense this week?
Well, like I said, you take week 1 the way it was.
Mm-hmm.
Carolina could have still won in week 1 with that playbook.
Mm-hmm.
Just a few things go a different way, a different whatever. It's whatever. So, you taking the fact that they've improved a little bit defensively, it looks even better for Carolina. But at the end of the day, with that type of changes that worked well this week against a team that's not Baltimore, would it have worked as effectively well as against Baltimore? That's the question.
Right. And what about you, Chris? Who would you have had, and would Carolina could have beat Baltimore with the defense they had this week?
If they play like that, then they will really give Baltimore a run for their money, keeping it on.
I will say this, and this is my 3rd week of being an owner of a franchise, and I will say this. Last week, I learned something. I won't tell anybody. Doug already knows about it. Ed already knows about it. I've learned so much about the defense part of this game. It's unreal. I learned it. And that's the reason why our defense was so vastly improved since last week. Me and Ed both figured it out, what was going on. And we figured it out. Even though the defense could still work on some issues, which, our defense was gradually improved over just one area that was killing us. And to tell you the truth, the defense next season, if my calculations are correct, our defense is going to even get better next season over the issue I figured out.
Oh, man. Well,
all I gotta say is next season our defense is probably going to be the number 1 defense in the league.
That's a stretch.
Because I figured out one area.
The outside linebacker position. I'm gonna keep guessing too until I get it right. You don't have to tell me.
It'll take some time for you to figure it out. Doug still disagrees with me, but I agree. I believe my perspective. I'm right.
Well, we're really gonna find out because, man, I'm telling you, some place. If I have a feeling this next off season, it's gonna shake up a lot of things, especially when it goes to some people's rosters. Some players might get let go early. That's where I can really see coming right there. Some people getting let go early, and I feel like that the owners now will probably finally get the abilities that they probably will want in their players, because there's some players that they drafted. Let's be honest, some owners probably feel like, this isn't what I was looking for, but I'm going to have to deal with it. Now that might not be the case come next off season. Might not be the case.
Right.
So because you know.
Well, for me, I've got
to, make their own player, or that, or just hopefully they find a player that has what they're looking for.
Well, for me, I mean, I've got all guys. I got my gold's locked up, and I got a bronze and a silver locked up for the next 3 seasons, and I'm doing. The other guys are on 1-year deals, and the way these guys, well, I don't know if you've been having the problem like I have. My user players have been disappearing.
Agreed.
And if they don't show up, they don't support the league. They don't watch games, or they don't post in Slack or active in Slack.
Agreed.
And
that's one thing I've noticed a lot.
Right. And I posted on my private channel, I said, I post the guys who's been active and not active. And I said, if y'all don't show up, y'all are out of town next season. I don't care. I don't care if you had 1,000 freaking yards in a season.
There's only a few players for me on my team that has been very active. There's one player on my team in particular. I don't think he's been active since contract negotiations. Really, I've not heard from him since. So shoot.
Right, and that's where an area we're going to have to. Well, that's an area that all of us is going to have to do is reach out and get committed guys part of the league. And I mean, I know all of us. I mean, TJ knows a lot of guys, and I know a lot of guys, and I know you do too, and Doug does too. A lot of these guys are going to have to. We're going to have to reach out to these guys and get guys that want to be active, because we finally got our product out. We've still got to work out a few more kinks, but next game of the week, I believe, is going to be a daggum major success. We finally worked the kinks out of that area, and give it time, and I believe we're going to finally get some brand new guys.
Agreed.
And we're still a new product. We still have a lot to prove.
Exactly. We got a lot of kinks to work out.
I just feel a lot of guys joined because of the, okay, what's this? And then they vanished. Then they're not going to be here.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of guys who are still, until I see that this is going to be something constant, I'm not investing much in it just yet, which I understand. So, and I'm hoping that's where it is. But at the end of the day, when you look at what we've got as far as activity goes, it rivals everyone else with the actual activity we do have.
And I believe all the owners have been majorly active. In that other league, that was a major issue.
Was the owners being inactive?
Right. And I believe Doug's not faced that. Have you, Doug?
Say that again?
Has all 8 owners been active?
Yeah.
Right. In that other league, they wasn't. They've not had no problems, no hassles.
Yeah, I mean, you look at all the owners, real simple. Not all the owners post in the open as much as others, but I've had no issues whatsoever of getting a hold of Bo Davis. Diggs,
Right.
yourself, Ramos,
Mm-hmm.
Jax, Davis, TJ,
Mm-hmm.
or like I said, they're all available if I need them. And I've never
Right.
missed.
And I say, even though they don't post, I do see them, at least checking out the boards
Right.
and all that. I do see them online.
Yeah. So.
So, any surprising stats this week, Doug?
Say that again. Any surprising stats?
Yeah.
As far as what?
Well, you usually reveal stats for the end of the show. Have you got those involved yet?
I dropped them earlier when I gave you the Did You Know stuff. You
Yeah,
know,
basically.
like the Pack
Who's
losing
the
at home was the first loss of the season by a home team and the only home team of a loss. Remember
I'm
that?
talking about who's got the best offense now.
I still gotta say
I
Arizona.
know.
I still
I know
gotta
it
say
ain't
Arizona.
us now.
Still numbers I got to confabulate because I'm behind on stats.
I know Dwayne Ritter's no longer the best passer.
Oh, definitely no longer the best passer, but then again, like all that passing doesn't really make up the full offense. That's why I said I gotta say Arizona. They've been the most complete offense so far in this early season.
Right. Even though we might still be the daggum. I'm wondering if we're still the worst defense.
And since I'm on the air, I'm going to mention it again to people in case they hear it. I need help getting stats together, people. Doing 8
Mm-hmm.
This is obviously time consuming, and it's only got to be star players, obviously.
And I've already mentioned I would help also.
Right. And I know a couple people had brought it to my attention, and I've been slacking myself as far as saying, hey, yeah, do this one, do that team.
Mm-hmm.
But I was hoping to get 8 guys, one for each team, make it a little easier. If I continue to do it myself, instead of having the stats on the website currently broke down the way they are, I might end up breaking them down into team stats. Meaning you'll scroll down, you'll see each individual team and the stats representing for their players on their team because it's easier for me to do it that way. And then if you just want to see who's leading the league in rushing, for example, you'd have to look at all 8 guys on each team instead of just looking at it in one grid. And as long as we have the stats available, I'm not thinking anybody's going to worry about that.
Which I don't think people really will worry about that too much.
I mean, I looked into some sites, things that cost money. Everybody's familiar with DAX stats. It cost $150.
It's a butt ton of money just for some stats.
Mm-hmm. And it didn't matter how many teams we had. It was $150 for that service. So it was like, okay. But I'm looking at some other options. But like I said, we'll figure it out. But I do want to touch one more time on week 3 because I know we're going to end up putting this one to sleep here in a minute.
Yeah, we've already been on for almost 2 hours.
In week 3. The Outlaws are the favorites over the Cobras. Tokyo's the favorite over the Stallions. You guys both agreed the Pack's the favorite over the Flight, and the Bulls are the favorite.
What are you talking about?
And the Pick'em's even showing that.
What?
And the Bulls, the Pick'em even has that.
Oh, to pick him. Okay. That's to pick him. Why would I pick against my own team? What kind of logic?
And the Bulls are the favorite over the Liberty. So, Cobras, Tampa Bay, Philadelphia, Boston. Of those 4 teams, which team has the best opportunity of pulling the upset?
Like,
Be honest.
okay, I'm being honest. Cobras, actually. As much as I fucking hate to say it.
I'll say Boston. Just
Well,
something about
Take
that.
that back.
There's
This
just
is
something about that running back I really intend to like.
Boston. Like what you said, I take that back. I changed my vote.
I disagree with you both.
New York.
Nope.
Who is it?
I'm picking Tampa Bay.
Okay.
I've got a gut feeling that Tampa Bay beats Tokyo.
I'm starting to think that you maybe have an upset stomach.
Well, I have other problems, so maybe that's part of it.
Yeah.
So,
You might have to go to the bathroom.
yeah, if he listens, if Bo Davis listens to what I said, I believe he's got the best chance. I seen one area that killed him against Arizona.
Right. So, do either of you have any final thoughts for the week?
Nope.
Nope. Alan, you have any final thoughts for the week?
No, except I'm getting hungry.
Jesus
You
Christ.
gotta go eat some Chinese food. Exactly what I just did.
I got grilled hamburgers.
Good enough.
No, except I hope Doug gets better and he can work tonight.
Agreed.
Yeah, I'm gonna try. I went to bed at 10, woke up at 5 with a major toothache pain. Been up since, and I got to be up till probably about 8:30 tomorrow morning.
Lord.
Work calls. Yes, I got to go to work feeling like crap. Staying home don't pay the bills.
Mm-hmm.
Can't put any better than that.
Except,
So, all right. Well, since you don't have any more final thoughts, I want to thank Cody, Chisholm, Mighty, TJ, Mr. Alex Dar, Ramos. I think it was all the guys who joined us over in the chat today. If I missed you, my apologies. Big thanks to Alan and Chris for filling in for Ed, who was unavailable for this show today. Should be available for next week's show. Hoping to do more shows more often.
and I'll get on to him.
Shit happens. But anyway, been another episode of Inside the IFL, and we'll have another one next week. And remember, gentlemen, the games this week are as follows. Game of the week. Game of the week on Friday at 8:30 is Arizona at New York. Then Tokyo at Tampa Bay is 4 o'clock on Saturday, and the 1 o'clock games on Saturday are the Flight at the Pack and the Bulls at the Liberty. Playbooks are due by the end of the night, and we headed to week 3. So, Chris, thank you. Alan, thank you. All those who joined in, appreciate it. For another episode of Inside the IFL, and later.
Peace.
Later.